I'm going to pause that recording for just a second. If I can find it. I can no longer find the controls. There we go. Love Zoom.
Woo!
Okay, welcome everybody to the webinar. Today I have with me Jess Ekstrom, who I am just thrilled to bring to you. I'll tell you a little bit more about her in a minute. I'm Alexa Bigworth, host of the Women in Publishing Summit, and we're very excited to bring all of you to our sponsor webinar series. Jess runs a workshop called the Mic Drop Workshop, all about, you might have guessed based on the topic of today's webinar, becoming a speaker and getting paid speaking gigs and adding that in as an additional revenue stream for our authors and creatives and entrepreneurs in our community. So Jess, well, I've been following Jess for a very long time. I got the pleasure finally to meet her and talk with her about a year. I don't know. I'm in such a time warp. I think it
I
was
have no idea what day it
about a
is.
year
So
ago.
yeah, let's call it a year.
When I interviewed her for the podcast. And then, of course, we had the presentation about speaking in the Women in Publishing Summit, which hopefully some of you all caught that presentation as well. But she wrote one of the most inspirational books, and I know we're not going to be talking about her background a whole lot in her books, but Chasing the Bright Side. I read years ago. I have multiple versions of the book. You can see it behind her, but it's just a beautiful book. And she had formed a nonprofit called Headbands of Hope, where they gave headbands to little girls who were losing their hair from illnesses, and just very, very wonderful, wonderful woman. But she's also a super talented, super like sought after expert in the speaking world, in the publishing world. And I see you're doing awesome joint ventures on course creation and all kinds of cool stuff, and speaking at major events. And that's why we're here today, is to get some of that knowledge about how to take our story, our books, and go get those paid speaking gigs. Although
Hey.
sometimes you start in the free zone, right? I don't know if you're going
Yeah,
to get
yeah.
into it.
Well, we can talk about that too. Yeah.
All right, awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and, first of all, thank you for your support of our conference. Thank you for coming and doing this webinar. And I just appreciate you so much. And the floor
I
is
am so happy to be here. So while I get my screens up, why don't you in the chat, if you had to speak in 15 minutes, would you be like, heck yeah, I'm excited, I can't wait to do this? Or would there be like a pit in your stomach of dread? Let's put 1 for excitement, 2 for dread in the chat. Let me know. Okay, we got a lot of excited people in here. Okay. But I get the dread as well. Um, so both, okay, Angela, both 1 and 2, that is me. I get excited and I also dread public speaking and I teach it. So we're going to talk about nerves. We're going to talk about how to figure out what you want to speak on. And then, this can apply to both fiction and nonfiction writers. I'm going to talk, since I have the pleasure of speaking to women in publishing, I'm also going to talk about speaking as it pertains to your book and selling books through speaking, because I think that is like peanut butter and jelly, yin and yang. So I'm going to go through a little bit of my backstory, a bit of a presentation about, how you all can get started public speaking, and then we'll open it up for questions. But feel free to keep like putting questions in the chat. I'm going to have it off to the side, so I'll try to look at it every now and then if you have a question along the way. So Alexa and I were fangirling right before we started over this quote by Jenny Lawson, who's one of my favorite authors. She said, "Someone out there right now is going to write someone else's favorite book of all time and is currently wondering if the story in their head is worth telling." This is one of my favorite quotes whenever I have analysis paralysis about like speaking or writing my next book or sharing my thoughts or a story or whatever is in my head. Imagine whoever your favorite author is or whatever their favorite book, if they let imposter syndrome help, like not hit publish or not start speaking. Someone out there right now needs what you have to say. And so it's our responsibility to say it. So my story in this field got started in one of the most magical places on earth, Disney World. Got any Disney people in here? Put it in the chat. I was a photo pass photographer. it was called the Disney College Program. So when I was, oh, Kiki, you worked for Disney too? Awesome. So I worked in Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios. And my favorite thing that I got to do was I got to photograph kids that were there on their wish through the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So if anyone's unfamiliar, Make-A-Wish is an amazing organization. They grant wishes to kids with life-threatening illnesses. So going to Disney was the most popular wish among Make-A-Wish kids. So I got to be the one photographing, them meeting their favorite character or seeing the castle for the first time. And I absolutely loved it. And so when I got back to school, my second internship that I did was for Make-A-Wish. And, I wasn't doing the most glamorous things. I wasn't organizing these huge events or like calling Taylor Swift to do a wish. I was doing a lot of behind the scenes work, medical release forms, cold calling people for money. But it was, no matter how tedious it was the first time in my life where it didn't matter what I was doing in that moment because I was so clearly connected to why I was doing it. Every single thing I did, I could help make a wish come true. And so I started to kind of have this light bulb go off where I was like, maybe our lives and the way that we make money and the careers that we choose for ourselves doesn't have to be something where we just get a paycheck and, 9 to 5 grind. It can be every time when we show up to work, we know that it matters that we're there. And it was towards the end of my internship, and my boss decided she was going to give me a little bit more responsibility, and she assigned me a wish child. And I got to be the coordinator of her wish. And this girl, her name was Renee. I was going through her file. She was 4 years old. She wanted to go to Disney World, but specifically, she wanted to go to Disney to meet Sleeping Beauty. That was her favorite princess. And she was very clear about the terms of this agreement. So I planned this going away party for her that was princess themed. I called all the parks to make sure that Sleeping Beauty could be there for all of their meals. And little by little, things started to come together for her wish. And then it was about a week before she was scheduled to go to Orlando for her wish, and she started to have some symptoms flare up. And she ended up going to the hospital, and they decided that it wasn't going to be a good idea for her to travel that following week to go on her wish. And I remember being in the office that day and hearing that the wish trip got canceled. And that I just remember thinking to myself, this can't be the story, because we have these experiences in our life that we can't control. Experiences are these tangible moments that are uncontrollable. We can't control what the weather is outside. We can't control if our flight gets in on time. We can't control if our neighbor's dog is barking while I'm trying to give a virtual presentation. All of these things are what we classify as experiences, these uncontrollable moments. But our story is what we think about our experiences and what we do next. So our story is how we internalize what happens to us and then what we make of it. So I knew I couldn't change the experience, but maybe I could rewrite the story. So I remember going onto Google, looking up local costume shops where I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina. And a few hours later, I arrived on her doorstep dressed as Sleeping Beauty and tried to make her wish come true that day. I brought her a matching dress and a crown that said Princess Renee and read her the story of Sleeping Beauty. And little by little, things started to come together. And I spent the whole day with her and her family in character. She totally bought it. And it was the clearest before and after moment of my life. But when I think about this moment today, I think that what we need to focus on instead of our experiences is our story. And that's what we do as writers and speakers, whether we're writing fiction or nonfiction. We are here to share our lived experience and use it to help others in their story. And so that's what I want to focus on is we have our experiences. Now, how do we extract those and create a story that can impact others as a speaker? So one of the ways that I had noticed that I could be helpful was I saw that a bunch of kids that were losing their hair to chemotherapy loved to wear headbands after hair loss. And a lot of them would be offered wigs where they'd be given hats, and they weren't really concerned with covering up their heads. They just wanted something to feel good about themselves. And so I started a company called Headbands of Hope. And for every headband sold, we donate one to a child with an illness. And one of the ways that I was able to scale Headbands of Hope to what it is today, which is a multi-million-dollar social company, and we do headbands for the NBA, the WNBA, we're sold in Kohl's. You can find us some of your favorite celebrities wearing our headbands, and some really cool things that have happened from it. And we've been able to donate over 2 million headbands, reaching every hospital in America in 22 countries. But one of the ways that I was able to scale Headbands of Hope from $0 out of my dorm room in college to what it is today was by telling the story. And so it started with, I remember like being in, I think it was a communications class, and I begged the professor for like 5 minutes of time because it was like a 200-person class. And I was like, can I just get in front of people and tell them about what I'm doing? And then I learned if I can get up there and not just say what I'm doing, selling, starting Headbands of Hope, but how they can then use my story and create whatever they want to do, then I can get 10 minutes of time. And then if I can get really good at that by sharing my story and then how they can help whoever they want to help, then I can actually get paid to do this, which was crazy. And so I started speaking all over the country. First, I spoke solely at universities. And then I eventually got my first book deal with HarperCollins for Chasing the Bright Side. That's when I saw it on shelves at Walmart. And then I got a children's book deal also with HarperCollins for a book called Create Your Bright Ideas. And now I'm actually working on my next book, which I'm actually going to hybrid publish, which happy to talk about the differences and what I think about them as well. But the story of how I started Headbands of Hope started to become, and telling it as a speaker, started to become this whole other business. I started on small stages in front of classrooms. Anyone that would like give me the airtime, 5 minutes of time. Alexa was saying sometimes you got to start for free. I was speaking for free. My first gig was for a slice of pizza. My second gig was for $2,200. So that first leap into like free to paid can actually be quite big for speakers, until eventually I became a Forbes top rated speaker, giving TED Talks, helping other women do the same. And this became this whole other business that I honestly didn't even know exist, was this idea of thought leadership. So it didn't become about Headbands of Hope. It became about how do I show people the story of how I started it, so that way they can take the tools and the things that I've learned and do whatever it is that they want to do. And so I realized that through doing this, actually, I'll tell this story because we're all women here. So I'll tell two parts of this. So the first time that I noticed the discrepancy in men and women speakers was when I was on the phone with an event that I was supposed to speak at. And I always have like a pre-call with them. And I say, what was it about me? What about my story? Why are you interested in having me speak? And the guy on the other line was like, I'm just going to be honest with you. I have no idea like who you are, and I know nothing about your story. All I knew is that we needed to book a woman because we got bad feedback last time that we had an all male lineup. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Also, wait, Leslie said, is there a way to move the speaker photo so it doesn't block the slide? Can you all see me talking? Or is it just like, I thought it
No,
was going to be like,
we see you superimposed on top of the slides. But I didn't think it was a problem. You were covering one of the slides, but
oh, okay, gotcha. I'll send you all the slides after, so don't worry about that.
okay.
But anyways, okay, so he was like, we needed a woman. And I was like, have I been transported to the 1950s? Are you kidding me? And so I started to do some more research and realized that less than 30% of paid speakers are women, and that number is actually going down. And then I was speaking at an event for this financial company, and a few weeks after the event, the meeting planner called me, and she sounded kind of somber. And I was like, man, I thought I did a really good job at this event, but I'm feeling like I'm about to get bad feedback. And she goes, off the record, I just want to share something with you. And I was like, Great, let's hear it. She goes, we did audience feedback after this conference, and you ranked the highest amongst all the keynotes for that weekend, like highest approval rating. And I was like, fantastic. What's the issue here? She goes, I just want to let you know, woman to woman, we paid you $8,500 to come speak, and we paid our morning male keynote $50,000 to come speak. I was like, what are you? I didn't even know that that was something people paid for, that was even a number fathomable in my mind. And so I was like, okay, we got to do something about this because this is crazy. So in 2018, I rented out the bottom floor of a restaurant in Raleigh, North Carolina, where I live. And I was like, look, put up an Eventbrite. Any woman that wants to learn the ropes of public speaking, come to this restaurant. I will have wine and cheese, and I'm going to tell you everything I know. The restaurant was wall to wall packed, and there was a wait list, and people who didn't live in Raleigh were like, can you record this? Can you publish it? I want to learn this information. So hence the start of Mic Drop Workshop. In Mic Drop Workshop, we do online courses, journals, small group coaching, all in the name of helping women become professional speakers. And Mic Drop Workshop has now helped over 3,000 women get on stages. And also, if you're like, okay, if you answered number 2 at the beginning of like, I want to speak, but I get too nervous, I have a free ebook I'm going to give y'all at the end that will help you with those nerves. And I'm also going to give you some tips, but I don't want you to tune out if you're like, speaking isn't for me. So Mic Drop Workshop became the way that I could share what I've learned in my lived experiences of becoming a speaker and help other women do the same thing. So I'm going to give you all 3 ways that you can do that are really low-hanging fruit to start your speaking career. And then I'm going to get into how to sell books with those. Definitely, I think Shirley has a question about bureaus. Totally want to cover that at the end. So keep the questions coming, and I'm gonna get to those. Okay, so 3 ways to get started as a paid public speaker and sell books at the same time. The first way is what I like to call being a lighthouse speaker. So there's 2 different types of speakers that in my mind that we think about. A spotlight speaker is coming up onto stage and saying, what does everyone think of me? The spotlight is on them. I want to be liked. I want to make sure that I'm being perceived. Actually, let's do something really quick. Imagine that same scenario where I said, okay, in 15 minutes, you have to go speak. Put in the chat, like, what's the first thought that goes in your mind when I'm telling you in 15 minutes, you have to get in front of an audience okay, Chrissy, let's go. I love that. Kiki, I better put pants on. Leslie, do I know my material? Do I know my audience? I'm okay with it. Let's do this. I need a nap first. Oh crap, what are we speaking about? Oh shit, I love it. Okay, perfect. Keep it coming. What would be the first thing that would come to your mind? Because this will be telling between spotlight speaker and lighthouse speaker. So a spotlight speaker thinks, I need to be perfect. I hope they like me. And it is about the spotlight on them, the perception of how you're being perceived. And then you have a lighthouse speaker. A lighthouse speaker, before they go on stage, they say, how can I best guide the audience? So it's shifting the light from spotlight on me to spotlight on the audience. A lighthouse is not worried about shining the light on themselves. They're using it as a guide to guide people to where they need to go. And this is what makes a great speaker. Actually, I just heard an analogy about this. Imagine you're on the Titanic and you are the only one that knows that you just hit an iceberg and the ship's going to sink. When you go and tell people, are you worried about how you look or how you sound? No, because you have knowledge that people need to hear. And that's what being a lighthouse speaker is like, I don't care how I look. It's not about me. I'm just here to help people. And so no matter if you are writing fiction or nonfiction, you have a story. Maybe if you're a fiction writer, it is about the story of your book. I've worked with fiction writers before to become a speaker. And one of my favorites, she's a true crime author, and she made her whole keynote about elements of true crime and like how you can apply those to your life. And so no matter what you're doing, it's not about you, it's about them. So how can you switch from being a spotlight speaker to a lighthouse speaker? And this is the same as being an author. It's the same when you're posting on social media. It is always begging the question from the audience of what's in it for them. The second thing that I want you to do to start to become a paid speaker is, in Mic Drop Workshop, we call this a speaker statement. Develop your speaker statement. You want to make it easy for people to know how you help them. Easy, like in a clear, concise way. One of the things that I talk about is, I don't want, and no hate to the Cheesecake Factory, but I don't want you to be a Cheesecake Factory speaker. If you've been to the Cheesecake Factory before and you know that their menu is probably longer than the book that you're currently writing, it's like, we serve sushi, we serve Alfredo, tacos. I don't want to go to a restaurant that does everything. I want to know what your chef special is. I want to know what you're good at. So what is the thing that you do and you do best? That's how we sum it up in a speaker statement. So, hi, my name is blank. I help people blank. What's the goal that you want them to achieve by blank? What's the method? How do you help them get there? And then this can be used in all different ways that I'll show you. So this is your speaker statement and it can also be your author statement and how you help them get there. So for example, for me, hi, my name is Jess. I help people expand their outer voice by helping them train their inner thoughts. And so this is what I speak on. This is what my books are about. This is what my Amplify, my podcast is about. This is what my course is on. And so this is a condensed and concise way that you can show people how you help them. So for example, my student Antonetta, hers is, I help people reach their highest potential by teaching them the power of consistently cultivating courage. Sarah, I help people improve stress, not remove stress, by empowering them to harness the hard that life throws at them and turn it into real resilience. And then Nicole, another one of my students, she goes, I help close the gender pay gap by helping women upgrade their careers. Oh, Chrissy, let's do it. I help people reduce the chaos in their journey by being known by using proven marketing frameworks and strategic PR. Love it. Okay, let me go back to it. Put it in the chat. I help people goal by blank. What's the method? What do you want to help people do? I help people expand their voice. Can you show that last slide again? The next one, mine. And even if you just have that first part, what's the goal, and you don't have the method yet, that's fine. But what do you want to help people do? I help people blank. Or more specifically, I help women blank. I help entrepreneurs blank. Rachel, I help authors and their books be better seen in the world so that their stories can shine and sparkle. I love that. All right, anyone else have a speaker statement or author statement that they want to share? Put it in the chat. And one of the things that I think is important here is to think about the through line. So it doesn't mean that your book and your keynote have to be the same, but there has to be some sort of thread that people can draw. So if your book is about wellness and your talk is about productivity, I don't know. Those things, it's like, okay, well, what's the through line? How do you go from wellness to productivity? So make sure that there's a through line in both of them. And if you're doing a course or a podcast, so people can be able to put them together. Carol, I help older people find something in their retirement that will give them purpose. I love that. Let me do one more. Renee, I help women reclaim their past vision for their lives and help them to make it happen now. Beautiful. Keep them coming. These are great. Okay, the third way to start to become a paid public speaker is picking your lane. So again, we are not a Cheesecake Factory speaker. We're not the person that's like, I speak to everything and everyone. This is what we're good at, and this is who needs to hear it. So what is a no-brainer audience? that needs your message? Whatever you just posted right there. What is a no-brainer audience that needs your message? So these are just some bubbles of audience types that are booking speakers. So we have students. This can be college or high school, but colleges especially have not just the budget to book speakers, but they have the requirement to book speakers. They have a programming budget that they have to work through every year. So going back to your alma mater is a great starting point to get, because they love to bring alumni in. Women's groups, we are all women here, and women's groups are a great way to get speaking engagements. So a lot of corporations even have their own women's group. So they're called ERGs, employee resource groups. Um, and so women's groups are a great way to do that. Corporations, businesses, anything like that that is in your area, from big to small, they all have like internal lunch and learns or workplace series, things of that nature. Associations are gold when it comes to speaking, because each state has an association for that industry. So for example, let's say you speak at the Women's Realtor Association of Georgia, and let's say Robin speaks at the Women's Realtor Association of Georgia, and Robin hits it out of the park. They're like, Robin is the best. She was exactly what we needed to hear. Great. Well, now there's 49 other states that have Women's Realtor Association of Florida, of North Carolina, of New York. And now that you've done one association, it's a domino effect because they all talk to each other. So looking up associations, there's even an association for associations, which is crazy. Lifestyle events. So there's wellness retreats, there's young professionals network, there's a bunch of different there's writers retreats, so many different lifestyle events that people are going to that are also looking for speakers. So figuring out, okay, which one is a no-brainer audience that needs to hear what I have to say, and starting there helps you go from pitching and I need to speak to everyone to I need to speak to someone, and that's this person, and that'll help you a lot in your pitch as well. Okay, so how do we go from doing this to selling books? We book the gig, which I know that there's a lot of in between, which I don't have enough time to go in today, but I go into in my drop workshop in my course of how to find the event planner and how to book the gig. So when I look at my book sales for Chasing the Bright Side, and we've sold close to 150,000 copies of this book, 80% of my sales have come from speaking engagements. 80%. And so there are 3 ways that you can do this when it comes to speaking and selling books. The first one is before your book comes out. I'm sure that since we're all in publishing here, we know about the importance of pre-orders. Before I published a book, I was like, why would someone buy a book before it comes out? I just that wasn't even on my mind. And then of course you become an author and you're like, I need people to buy my book before it comes out. So first thing to do is when you're on stage or when you're speaking is get the audience to pre-order your book. And then in exchange, give them a signed sticker in the back of the room afterwards. This sounds crazy, but it works because people want their book to be signed. It is so special to them. So even if you don't have the physical book, they're like, I'm going to pre-order it, and then I'm going to put this sticker with your signature in it inside my book. This works great. Second thing that you can do is make books a part of your speaking fee. So for example, let's say you quote $10,000 to speak, and you say that comes with 200 books. And that's a great point for a meeting planner to say, oh, well, if it only comes with 200, we need to order 500 more books because we have an audience of 700. So by adding it into your speaking fee, it's an incentive for the meeting planner, and it also shows them that maybe they should order more books so everyone gets them. The third way that you can sell books as a part of your speaking career is selling books in the back of the room. You can either do this through your own inventory, meaning you are bringing the books yourself, swiping cards, using a QR code, whatever it is, or contact a local bookstore in the area. This is my favorite thing to do, is say, hey, I'm going to be speaking at this event. And I would love for you to sell my book there. And obviously they would get the sales. But if it's from a local bookstore, that those sales will also count towards book scan. If that's important to you, making a list, things of those nature, you need the book sales to count, which honestly is a headache in my mind. But going through a local bookstore will make it count towards book scan. 80% of Americans want to write a book. Less than 1% will. Commit to being a part of that 1%. Whether you have your book or not, whether you've spoken already or not, this is a very small group of people who will actually do this, whether it's writing a book or becoming a speaker. And the reason why I only work with women is because I feel like writing books and speaking, thought leadership in general, has the ability to shape our future. We all have a book or a talk that we heard or we read once, and it changed the way that we thought about ourselves. It changed the way we thought about the world and our place in it. So we can't just have that kind of perspective coming from one side. We need to have more representation there. So with that, I'm going to open it up to questions. But before I do, this is a free ebook, and this gets more into the nerves and the confidence that can come with speaking. And you can do the QR code. I'll also post a link in the chat. We also have a free training. So if you want to go this same website, if you go under the free resource tab, you can attend our free training too. Good. I hope that this is helpful for you. And I know that there's a lot of questions, so I'm going to go ahead and take my screen off, and let's
Would you
get.
like me to read them to you? I know sometimes that helps.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, this one is not about speaking, but you opened it up to answer this one. So Shalana would like to know about your thoughts about hybrid publishing versus traditional.
Yeah. So when I had a great experience with HarperCollins, and it can be really exciting to say, oh, this is my advance that you're going to pay me right now. But when I look at how much of my book sales were through me and through speaking, and I do the math on the small percentage of royalties I'm getting from HarperCollins, but the big percentage I could have gotten if I had self-published or hybrid published it, I would have made more in the long run. Plus, I would own all of the IP, all of the intellectual property, and also not had red tape around it. So like if I want to give away a chapter for free to everyone who subscribes to my podcast or just something like that, I would have to go through HarperCollins to get that approval versus doing it on my own. Or if I want my book to also plug Mic Drop Workshop and be help, like put an advertisement in there to also join my course, that would not fly with HarperCollins. But if I'm doing it myself, I can have this book be like a nucleus for all of the things that I'm doing without needing any kind of permission in that. So I'm not against traditional publishing, but I do think the publishing game has changed, where it's not just turn in your book, get paid in advance, sayonara. They expect you to do a lot of the marketing work. And so I'm like, if I'm going to do the marketing work anyway, I would like a bigger piece of the pie, is
Yeah.
my.
I think that's 100% just so the case for entrepreneurs, business builders, nonfiction authors, for sure. Just being able to have the control of all the things that you mentioned is massive.
Yeah.
Okay. What Joan wants to know, what about NSA.org as a resource for finding opportunities? Do you know about them?
I think that's National Speakers Association. I am not a part of it. I have some friends that are. I think at Mic Drop Workshop, we've created our own group, an association of women who are doing this. And so I think whether it's NSA, Mic Drop Workshop, or whatever it is, stuff like this, like women in publishing, finding groups of like-minded people doing it with you is important. So no matter if you do it with us at Mic Drop or NSA, it's great to join communities that can not just hold you accountable, but there's a big part of speaking, and we didn't have time to get into this, but I'll share it. Uh, pitching yourself can feel daunting.
Hmm.
So one of the things that we do in Mic Drop Workshop is we really lean on referrals. So we call them speaker sisters. So find someone with a complementary but not competing message in this group of women that we've generated. And then whenever you speak, say, are you looking for more speakers? 100% of the time they'll say yes. Who do you know? Because when you speak, they're not going to book you again for at least a couple of years because they need to bring someone else new in. So it's no skin off your back to say, hey, I just spoke at this event. I would love to introduce you to Alexa, who speaks on this, and she would make a great speaker. And so having these communities, and of course, we like to do it with women because we want to get more women on stages where you can refer each other post gig is such a low hanging fruit that not enough speakers do.
Yeah. What a great answer. So find your speaker sisters.
Yes.
I love that. Shirley asks, as a paid speaker, would you recommend going through a speakers bureau agent or do it directly yourself? That's kind of a little bit of what we were just saying, and focus on generating stage side leads.
Okay, so I'll touch the bureau part first. I actually just attended a conference last year about bureaus and with bureaus, and I learned something surprising that only 25% of speaking engagements every year are booked through bureaus.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like talking about a traditional publisher. One of the things I've realized in my like mid 30s now in my career is that I really don't like having to wait to be picked. I don't like having to wait for a publisher
Amen.
to pick me. I don't like having to wait for a bureau to pick me. And bureaus are not as big of the pie as they might seem. And so I think that I would much rather team up with other speakers and refer each other that way than wait by the phone and give 30% of my speaking fee to a bureau. However, I will say that I do have, now that I've seasoned enough in my career, I have a manager who I give 25% of my speaking to, who does all of my outbound pitching, all of my contracting, books all my travel, intro sales calls. And so that is something too that you could work towards when you're doing more speaking, is looking at a manager who works on commission only, but I wouldn't put your eggs in a bureau basket.
You know, this is not a question I don't think that anybody has asked in here, but this has just made me think of one um, that recently happened to me. Now, everybody in my audience that's known me for any time at all knows that I am a Francophile. I'm obsessed with France. Like I just, if I could just go to Paris every week, I would. And I got this DM from somebody saying, hey, we run this huge women's entrepreneur, blah, 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 like leadership event in Paris. And you've been selected to be one, like, we'd like for you to be one of our speakers. And I was like, part of me was like, oh, this is probably a scam, but I'm going to reply anyway. And so I replied, I was like, what's your budget for speakers? Like, do you offer travel or accommodations or anything? Because coming to Paris, that's going to be a big deal. And they were like, oh no, we don't really, we need you to pay $700 for this slot so
Oh
that we can pay for
my
the event.
gosh.
And I was like, no. So how do we, if we're getting, first of all, if we're getting directly pitched from an organization, how do we know if it's legit?
Yes, that
I
is a
mean, that was pretty
great,
quickly
well,
not
it's
legit.
honestly the question that you just asked is great. Is I'm super interested in this. What's your budget? So we're on the same page before we dive in.
Mm-hmm.
That is key. And notice how you didn't say, do you have a budget? You
Right.
said, what is your
What
budget?
is,
Yes.
right.
And because do you have a budget is also insinuating that maybe you would do it for free, but what is your budget means this is my product. One of my friends who's a speaker had a similar experience, and I'll go into some red flags about that too. But they said, oh, we were hoping you could do it for free or for exposure. And he goes, where do you get your paper at the office? And they were like, Staples. And he goes, do you go into Staples and ask them for free paper? And so when you believe that like your speech is your product and removing your ego from it, it's like, it's not about you. It's about, no, my product is worth something and it's worth this amount. However, I will say if a event can't meet your budget, or if it's an event you really want to do and they're like, look, we're just getting started, or we're a nonprofit, or whatever it might be, there are a couple ways that you can add non-monetary value to an event. And we talk about this in Mic Drop Workshop. And I'm going to tell you to put all these in we have a sample contract that we put all of these into. But so the first is footage and photos. Those
Mm,
are gold. Have spoken at events for free, but just because I know they have a great stage, and I'll get footage and photos from it, which can help so much in marketing. The second is a testimonial. If you can say, okay, I'll speak at your event for free, but I would love a written testimonial that I can use on my website after. Again, gold. And the third thing that I want you to do if you're speaking for free or at a lower rate is ask for introductions to other meeting planners. Say,
mhm.
and if you're pleased, with my keynote, I would love 5 introductions to other meeting planners that are booking speakers within 2 weeks of the event.
That's very specific. I love that.
And you put it in the contract. And I don't care if the dollar amount is $0. I think putting a contract together officializes something,
Yeah.
and it's an exchange of value. And so those are the 3 things that no matter if you're speaking for free, that I would not walk away from.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I don't know, we could probably have an entire discussion around just like the importance of getting some kind of compensation for what you're doing, and especially when it comes to in-person events. I mean, if you're asking somebody to come speak at your event, or someone wants you, that's huge expenses, between
Time,
airfare and
travel. Yeah.
hotel and all of that stuff. Yeah, so always consider that. Okay, but I love that. We just booked a videographer for an upcoming event that we have, and I can tell you, based on what we're having to pay for that, that is a great bonus to have to get those videos. And
Yes. Get the video footage.
oh
100%.
my gosh. All right. Laura wants to know, if you're not sure about your specific topic, can you give the audience a few choices from topics?
So, if you're not sure about your specific topic, I would do your best to try to start with one signature keynote. But if you're not sure about what you want to speak on, this is where these communities come in really handy, whether it's women in publishing or whether it's Mic Drop Workshop. Have people vote. Say, hey, these are the 3 topics I'm really interested in doing. Which one would you book? Or which one would you want to listen to? So that's why these closed communities are so valuable, is because it can, you can get that feedback. But what happens, like, you know, when you go to buy something and you're like, I'm looking for shampoo, and it's like, here's 50 different options of shampoo. You're like, I just want you to tell me what shampoo I need. And so instead of giving them a bunch of different options, tell them what they need. I speak on this and this is why you need it, instead of like pick from a menu, is what I like to do.
That's a great way to do it. Also, I think when people, when we see pitches to our virtual conference, that level of confidence, when someone comes in and says, I'm the expert on this topic, this is what I'm talking about, and this is what it can do, that makes such a
Yes.
difference.
People love clarity.
Mhm.
One thing I will say on that too, Laura, is instead of listing topics, list takeaways. So topics are like singular words like confidence, leadership, whatever. A takeaway is, after people hear me speak, they will blank. They will feel confident in pursuing their goals. They will learn their leadership style. Like, what are the actionable takeaways, instead of listing topics?
Love that. Okay, Jenny says, I wear 2 hats, one as a healer and one as an award-winning novelist. Both touch on healing from trauma, but the messaging would be different. How do I decide which to focus on in my speaker statement and outreach?
Yeah. So when we talked about audiences and had those 5 bubbles, first I would think about who your audience is and then what's the language that they would want. So, um, instead of like trying to give them everything at once, your speaker statement is supposed to tell them like what you do for them and how you do it. And so, but it doesn't need your backstory in there.
Mhm.
It's not saying, hi, my name is Jess. I help people train their inner thoughts because I'm an entrepreneur and I've done all these things. It doesn't have anything to do with my story. The story is the mechanism that we use in our book or in our talk of like how we teach our lessons, but we don't need that part in the speaker statement. In fact, I would shy away from it in the speaker statement. Yeah.
Cool. And I would guess that she'd be pitching based on those two different audiences. The pitch would be very, very keyed in on the exact audience that she was talking to.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because you're going to know when you go to a conference whether it's more of a healing conference or a one that's featuring authors, right?
Yes, totally. Yeah. And on that as well, we call this a transformation promise in Mic Drop, where it's another fill in the blank of after people hear me speak, they will blank
Mhm.
because my speech will blank. And you can do this for your book too. After people read my book, they will blank because my speech will blank. So sometimes it can be really daunting to say, what do I want to speak on for an hour, which is a typical keynote length. Instead, imagine that you just spoke and like the curtains closed, people are going to their car, they're calling their spouses, they're talking to other people in the room. What do you want them to be feeling? What do you want them to be thinking? And what do you want them to do differently? Once you can nail that and say, like, I know the aftermath of what I want from people, then you can work backwards and say, okay, well, then what do I need to go over in my talk to help them get there?
That's like the best part about being a speaker, isn't it? Knowing that you left people thinking hard about something or feeling changed or
Yes.
feeling excited about doing something or,
And that's where money comes into in all of this, is that speaking is not a pay for your time kind of thing. So you're going to charge the same rate whether you're speaking for 20 minutes, 45 minutes, or an hour. So you're actually charging, your value comes from the aftermath of you speaking, not the time in which you speak. And so that's why it's really important to understand the value. So that way you can advocate for the price of it.
awesome. I love this question from Michelle. While you're speaking in a virtual environment such as this, are you speaking from notes? I'm going to guess no, because this is just seems so you.
No
Yes.
notes for me right now, but it was funny. Someone in the comments said, I love that you call yourself seasoned in your 30s. And I was like, that's funny because I feel seasoned because I started doing this when I was 19. But I still have a lot more to learn. I don't use notes, however, when I do virtual. However, I do think that virtual can be a great way to do a trial of a topic of like what you might want to do and use notes for it. Take advantage that they can't see you. As long as you're not like, hold on, what was I saying? You can use presenter view, which PowerPoint and Canva, I use Canva, has presenter view, so you can have some notes off to the side. As long as you push the notes towards that green dot where you're looking, use them because it can help you do like a dry run where you wouldn't have notes that you bring on stage with you.
Um, if I can give a little tip here, just on the presentation side too, I used to be a professional briefer in the Air Force, so I learned a lot about presentations that are succinct enough that provide the information that will cue you of what you want to
Yes.
be talking about. And especially when you're doing a presentation like this, where it's, well, when you know a topic backwards and forwards, you should be able to talk easily about it, especially if you have bullet points or slides that cue
Yes.
you. And then, of course, if there's data or things like that that you really want to make sure you mention, then that's what the notes are for. But
One
uh,
thing I would shy away from is scripting,
yes,
uh, and like teleprompting yourself, whether it's in your head or an actual teleprompter. The reason why is because it won't come across as natural, and then you will trip yourself up. You'd be like, oh shoot, I forgot like this part.
yeah.
So in Mic Drop Workshop, I teach something called, that I'll teach you all right now, bump set spike. So bump, I don't know if anyone of you played volleyball in there, but I played in high school. Um, so bump is teeing up the lesson. It is telling the audience, why should you listen to what I'm about to say? The set is the story or the anecdote. So where were you when you learned this lesson? And the spike is the one-liner takeaway. The spike is what's on the slide. It's the gift that you give the audience that if you don't remember anything I just said, remember this. And so in Mic Drop, we teach a bump set spike framework, and doing that 5 times in one keynote typically makes a 1-hour keynote. So that's it. So that's the framework. Instead of memorizing a script, it's like, how do I break my talk into 5 smaller talks and use bump set spike for each one?
I used to, on shorter briefings, used to memorize mine, and all the things that you said were what happened. Like I'd forget a statement or a
Yes,
fact, and then I'd get so like, but yeah, in the
it
I
trips you
mean,
up. Yeah,
yeah.
it can be
Okay.
daunting. Whenever an event is like, oh, can you go up there and thank like Southwestern Mutual Bank or
I'm
what?
like,
I'm like trying to Southwestern Mutual. I'm like, I can't remember the script. Yeah.
that's funny. Okay. Are you willing to share who your press is, which hybrid press you went with?
Yes, because we're actually creating our own imprint
Oh,
with
nice.
Macmillan. Yeah, which Alexa, I feel like we need to talk about offline. But so we're creating our own hybrid publisher. And so my vision is to help women like turn their keynotes into books and vice versa.
I love it.
Um, and help them sell under one umbrella. So right now we're working with Macmillan to do that. So
That is
hopefully,
so smart.
honestly, it's probably going to be looking like early 2026 is when that's going to go up.
That's so cool. Well, I can't wait to share it with our community when that is ready, because that's
Yeah. Oh,
super.
I would love that. That would be great.
Okay, let's see. Rhonda says, and time check, we have about 5 to 7 minutes left, so we'll get through as many of these questions as we can, but this is being recorded. We'll send everything out. We'll send the slides. We'll send the link to the ebook, all the things. Okay, so Rhonda says, what if you have multiple interests and focus on more than one specific area? For example, I'm writing fiction novels and nonfiction books. These are obviously very different topics.
Hmm. Fiction novels and nonfiction books. So the question is like, can you repeat what the question part is?
Um, how basically, if you have these vastly different topics that you could talk about, how do you decide which one to go
What
with?
the through line is. Yeah. So a couple things that like kind of some gut checks that I would do if you like, I have a lot of different things that I could speak on. I do fiction, nonfiction, all these things. Number one is, what do people come to you for advice for? Like when people are talking to you, what do they come to you for advice for? What is something that you would be comfortable being attached to for 5 years? So speaking is a lot about building momentum. And so if you're like, this year I'm speaking about this, and then next year I'm starting over and speaking about that, it's not a good way to build momentum. So I remember I had a talk that I was like thinking about doing about inner dialogue, and I was calling it That's What She Said. And I was going to like do this at women's conferences. And I was like, you know what? I just don't know if I am comfortable attaching to That's What She Said for 5 years. Um, and so I rethought it. And so am I comfortable being attached to this for 5 years? And then is the thing that I want to speak on something that people pay for? So like asking yourself, like, does my speech solve a problem? But the secondary part to that question is, does it solve a problem for people who pay speakers? Let me give you an example. Um, there's a lot of women that come into Mic Drop Workshop that have a niche topic that they're like, I want to help mothers um, balance their life. Great. However, there are very few parenting conferences out there that pay speakers, maybe a handful a year. However, if you changed it from I want to help mothers balance their lives to I want to help women reduce overwhelm,
Hmm.
then that goes from like 10 conferences a year that you can speak at to endless conferences a year that you can speak at. So, does my speech solve a problem, and does it solve a problem for people who book speakers?
That is the smartest question I think anybody who's trying to decide whether or not they want to speak or should speak and what they should be speaking on could possibly ask themselves before starting everything else.
Yes, because you know, there's different kinds of speaking. There's like advocacy speaking, where you're speaking because you want to advocate for a cause or a certain group of people, which is fantastic, but rarely is like advocacy speaking, paid speaking. There's lead gen speaking, where it's like, I want to speak because I want to funnel people into my course or to my coaching or to my podcast, which is a great way to get paid to speak indirectly because the pay comes from the people who sign up. But then getting paid to speak, your talk needs to solve a problem for people who book speakers. Yeah.
I think that is so great. I'm dropping the link to the ebook again. We don't really have enough time to answer another question. Really quickly, if you could, whatever you want people to, I thought that was a great question to end on in terms of like what we need to do, but what would you like the audience to walk away from this with?
I'll also drop my LinkedIn in here just in case any of you want to reach out.
Perfect.
I would say something that I'm probably not supposed to say, but I'm going to say it, is that for every amazing woman out there afraid to quote $5,000 to speak, there is an average male quoting $20,000 and getting it. So when you are like, who's going to pay me to speak? What am I going to do? You know, there are so many average men out there that are getting paid so much money to do something that you could do better. So no matter if you do mic drop workshop or not, just start, because I can't tell you how many event planners come to me and say, like, where do we find these women? We need women. And it's like, I just want to put it out on a silver platter. And so that is all I have to say, is that people need your message. And there are so many men out there that aren't afraid to quote or put their name in the hat. And we need more women doing the same, which is why I really appreciate, Alexa, what you've built here as well.
And you know what? For that matter, there's a lot of mediocre women putting it out there with confidence too. It's that like go for it. I guess is the message. Go for it because there are other people getting it because they're going for it.
Yes,
But no,
exactly. Exactly. And if there's one thing with this last minute that I would tell you all to do today, put the word speaker in your bio. Put it on your LinkedIn, put it on your Instagram, wherever you meet people, put it in your email signature, because people can't book you to speak if they don't know you're a speaker. So I see, Rhonda, you're signing up for Mic Drop immediately. I will see you in there. I do live Q&As with my Mic Drop students the first Friday of every month. So if you have direct questions that you want to share, that's the best way to get me. Yeah.
well, thank you so much for taking valuable time away, and especially with your newest and greatest addition to your family.
This was great. You can't see the spit up that is below. I have a 2-month-old, so that's why I like Zoom.
Well, I can't wait to see you sometime, hopefully in person. This was phenomenal information, and we will be sending people your way. Oh, yay, we've got a couple people saying they're signing up for Mic Drop, so wonderful. And we'll be in touch. Thanks,
Yes, thank you, Alexa. Thanks, everyone. Talk soon.
bye.